check out our new merch store at www.ShotOfFactsPodcast.com, where you can find our merch with shirts dedicated to each episode you love. Check it out today and support a Shot of Facts merch. Welcome to A Shot of Facts. This is your girl Deja Renee, and this episode is a shot of fashion with Lenese Calleea of Calleea'Vatein Incorporated, LC Appareal Consulting, Black Girls Designer Club, and BlacknFashion podcast. Now, despite Lenese being 30 years young, she has accumulated 2 decades of expertise in fashion, design, and garment creation, while evolving herself from a young skilled seamstress to an industry expert, consultant, and creative mogul. So, without further ado, let's get right into the interview. So, Lenese, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm gonna just tell a little. I'll be 32 on Monday.
Look, that's fine.
Like, you put 30 years young. I was just like, yeah, I kept in my bio that I'm still 30, but I'm not.
But no, that is, and you look great, okay?
Thank you. I was just like, I ain't 30 no more, but I'm gonna wear it out, honey.
Well, I know that's right. But my first question to you, actually, since you are in the fashion industry and you've been in there for, well, a part of it for the past 2 decades, I want to ask you, when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship, how would you come up with new business ventures, especially in like the fashion industry, with trying to create something new that is not seen yet or not in the market yet?
So a business or a clothing line, because it's different. Because like for me, what I think about when I think about entrepreneurship and I think about business and fashion business, is it goes a bit way beyond clothing. It can be into the education realm, it can be in the mentorship realm, it can be a service based thing. So I think that you have to make your business like your lifestyle. For me, I'm an education person. I'm a teacher. So what I did was I made several different businesses that all honestly have the same thing. Like the Black Girls Designer Club is education and resources and stuff like that for young women. LC Apparel Consulting is more for, adult learning, and it's a service-based business, an education business. It also has mentorship and training in it. And then the BlacknFashion podcast is the same thing, So it's just taking those base foundations of different things and putting them in different areas: media, non-for-profit, service-based, product-based. I have like a designer workbook where people can go in and like write their designs down and pull their color palettes out. I have pattern making packages where I put all these different things together like to make a complete package. I made sloper packages. So it's really just taking one item and doing everything around it, product and service based, and whatever else you can offer your consumer. Like, how can I give somebody a complete fashion lifestyle? I'm gonna give you all your fashion needs. I'm gonna give you a clothing brand. I'm gonna give you education. I'm gonna give you service. I'm gonna give you media. Like, I'm gonna give you everything. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I see that you mentioned mentorship, and one of the things that help create your fashion business or overall entrepreneurship. So, how can you find mentorship in your niche market? Let's say for the fashion industry, how can you find some mentorship or leadership that you can look and get help from?
Um, I hate to say this, but it's like you almost got to pay for it if you're not a child. Okay. And I learned that as children, because I have Black Girls Designer Club is a mentorship program for children. So it's people, kids from 6 all the way up to like 23. Now for them, that's free, and that's a non-for-profit though. So we got to get funding in order to even support that business. But I can give my time. Mentorship is my time, which I can give away. Now in adulthood, when people have, like bills and stuff like that, it's difficult. But there are a lot of companies and one woman shows and one man shows that offer mentorship training and coaching. Now the thing is, sometimes it's out of your reach because it's too expensive, but then you have to learn how to sacrifice and live within your means and just budget out your money. Because my initial reaction to when I heard a woman speak, and I was like, I want her to be my mentor. I want her to be
Right.
my coach. But that was the service that she offered. And when I got the pricing, it was like almost 4 grand. And I was just like,
For mentorship.
a mentorship, like a coaching was like 4 grand. I'm like, I don't got that. But it made sense to what she said to me. She was like, if I'm doing my job as your mentor, you will be able to afford it. And she was absolutely right, because once I made that initial deposit and I began working with her, and she began, mentoring me and helping me grow my business and grow myself as a person, I was able to make more money. So as an adult, you do have to figure out a way to work it into your budget, because that is another adult's time that they can be putting into their family, their household, their income. So as a child, if it was something you was doing, you don't have to pay. But as an adult, it's like, and honestly, to get a really good mentor and someone that's actually going to be beneficial in your life and make you some money and stuff like that, you have to pay for it.
Yeah, I think that's all with taking your business seriously as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't want to invest in their own businesses.
Oh, yeah,
I think mentorship, things of that sort, that is all an investment.
it is. And
So
I definitely, that was just like, who the hell gonna pay this? And I was fresh out of being laid off. I didn't have no unemployment. I had no strand of revenue besides myself. But she made the amazing point. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, you will. And she was absolutely right.
Now
And
let
I
me
was able to
ask
pay
you.
that balance. I was able to pay that bill every month on time
Mm,
after that initial meeting. Yeah.
but let me ask you a question. So, how do you feel as a Black creative in the fashion industry? Do you feel like you're not represented enough? Do you feel like you're overshadowed? Or how do you also feel about appropriation when it comes to trends in fashion as well?
I don't think that we're represented enough in fashion, but that's also the reason why I started LC Apparel Consulting. I can honestly sit here and say that I have over 200 Black women designers that I'm creating products for. So I don't think that we're represented enough in the industry, but I'm working on getting us there. And I'm doing that with the help of education too, because visibility is sometimes all about who you know. And
Right.
what I do is I make sure that I share my network with my clients. Like, this person can do your PR, this person can do your marketing, tap into these influencers. And I'm constantly giving education and advice to get us that visibility, because the visibility is not there. We need it, but it takes time. And we're going up against these brands that have been around for umpteen years.
Hundreds.
So
Yeah.
right now it's just like we're in a good place, in my opinion, like when it comes to Black designers and Black designers getting out there. But we are competing with what 80 years, like so it's just like I
Right.
think that we're in a good place. But it's like we cannot have the visibility of a brand that's been out since the 1930s, when we just started to get to that place, honestly, in the 1990s, when you came out with all the urban brands. So the Rockaware, the Baby Fats, the Fat Farms, like that stuff started in the 90s. So technically we are only what, 30 years in, and that's why we haven't been able to compete with the 80-year-old brands, but we're getting there. So that visibility and just honestly sharing my network, that's what I do to make sure that I'm trying to get us to that level. I can't do it alone.
Right.
But there are a lot of other Black women that work in the fashion industry that I'm friends with, that's about the same mission as me. And we were just like, we got to get the Black people out there. We got to get them out there. That's why you have Harlem Fashion Row. That's why you got what's that one? Luxor and Fish. These are all Black owned women companies that help Black women in fashion. So it's not a lot of us that's trying to get that mission out there. It's probably a handful. So it's taking longer, but it's gonna happen. And even after me, it's gonna happen. And I'm gonna pass it down, and it's gonna keep happening, because we got to build up that history. Like, we got to get to that space.
Well, it's not even history to, well, it is history, but it's also our own people supporting. I think that's
And I'll be ready to
history.
smack them, girl. Like, but it's our people supporting those brands. But it's just like, it's, to me, it's still history. It's a lack of knowing your history. So it's just like, if you even, and not even talking about Black history, I'm talking about history as a whole. What these brands think about us, what these brands, who their target consumer is, because their target consumer ain't us. We just the ones buying the shit. So it's
Right.
just like actually knowing your history and being aware. But it's some people who are not aware. They are freaking, and I always say this, fashion is psychological. They are freaking mind, like their minds are gone when it comes to like designer items. Like, I could say I have a designer item too, but it's just like it's a Gucci. It has to be a Louis Vuitton. And I chalk it up to as a lack of knowledge. I chalk it up to insecurities, because that's why you have a whole bunch of people wearing fake designer too, because it's all up here. Like, if somebody think I got on Gucci, then I'm looked at or viewed in a different way. If someone
Right.
thinks I'm wearing red bottoms, and people will buy fake things just to live up to this status quo. That is some insecure ass shit, if you ask me. Excuse my French.
No,
But
girl, look, you could
it's an
cuss all you
insecurity
want
to me.
here.
I don't know. I think that people people who wear designer brands are looking for validation for
Yes.
themselves because they're not happy with themselves. And that's why. That's my personal opinion, including celebrities, because they also have to maintain a certain stature too.
Right.
So people are looking at them like these are the people with the money. So they're not wearing something that's $4,000 or $5,000 from this well-known designer. Then you got industry people talking about them like, did you see what that person had on? And no, they're the worst because the internet will tear up a celebrity for what they wore or what they look like. So they feel like they even more so have to keep up the persona. So I'm not as mad at them for doing it, but it's just like somebody got to snap the hell out of it. And somebody got to leave.
Some with celebrities, they're getting paid. They're paid.
Exactly. They're getting paid, or it's like it's free publicity too. Like some of them getting paid, some of them not getting paid, but it's just like they're just so used to it. And whether they're dressing themselves or they have a PR person that's specifically putting them in these things, or they have a management team or the record label that's just like do this, do that. Like some of these people don't even have control over what they wear sometimes. They might want to, some of them might want to go a completely different direction what they look, but they label won't allow it, or their PR person is telling them to do this instead. So a lot of times I feel like some of them is just lost in the sauce.
No, I agree. I call a lot of people who, are so dead set on wearing everything label wise. I just call them label whores because actually, like the most people who wear all the labels and like super, big on that, they don't even really have style. It's like just because you're wearing all these expensive things does not mean you know how to actually dress.
I put that quote up so many times. People like labels, they don't like fashion because there's a big ass difference. Because
Right.
y'all
Think of
like
like
the logo
Supreme.
wear like
Supreme fashion. It's a regular t-shirt, Supreme, $300.
and
And
it's
people
not
are
even
selling it out.
cotton. Not even Egyptian. It's not even the cotton from the motherland. Like y'all better go home somewhere. And that's the softest cotton you can have is Egyptian cotton. It's not even Egyptian cotton. So I'm like, I don't even know why it's $300. It's regular old cotton right on over here from the US, and even from the motherland. Like,
Now, I think it's also having to do with marketing as well. So the fact that it's scarce. There's not that many in quantity out there is what makes people gravitate to it so bad. Like think of the newest Jordan releases. Because it's only a handful out, everybody is trying to get it and they might resell it for triple the amount because it's the hype. It's like the hype beast culture of it. That's what it all comes down to with labels and Instagram and social media influencers. It's all the hype beast culture.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but one thing I also want to ask you, as a designer, how do you feel about wholesaling and what is it called? Like when you get, I don't know really
I
about the
don't
the fashion industry when it comes to like
buying stuff and putting your name on it.
yes, like the beauty industry. I know the beauty industry, they have a huge problem with like you go on like Alibaba or something and they have like uh makeup that
Mm.
you just put your label on. So how do you feel about that? Because I know a lot of people
I
that's
don't. I feel like I mean it's a quick way to make money. That's
Mm,
honestly what it is. If you are into fast money, like there are some women that are designers, there are some women that are boutique owners. The boutique owners want to see a faster turnaround time. They want to buy the stuff wholesale, double or triple the profit off it, like increase the margin. They just want to make the money from it. But I don't care for the wholesale industry. It's never been like my thing. I've never had a desire to go buy something and then like just like print on it or like put my name on it and act like I made it. So I don't have it, but it's a good business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. I just don't mess with it. I'm a creator, and I think that's how most creators are. Most creators don't like to. We might buy something wholesale, take it apart, make a pattern out of it, and then recreate something. But we're never gonna just take that item and smack our name on it and be like, "Oh yeah, this is mine." Like it just creators don't think like that. And most designers don't think like that. People that are into fashion, stylists, buyers, like that, that's a thing for them. So it just depends on your mind state because it's a difference between a person that's into fashion as a creator than a person that's into fashion who just likes the way things look, which is the difference between a buyer and a designer.
okay. So can you expand a little bit more about buyers and designers?
Yeah, so a buyer is the person that's all about the numbers. Buying is nothing but Excel. Like literally, you spend your entire day crunching numbers to buy things for stores. So like as a designer, I can sell my stuff to a Macy's or a Saks Fifth Avenue, and then the buyer will decide if they want to purchase my items and put them in their store. Now, what happens is, and what I've seen from being in the industry is that the buyers now think that they are designers and will come to a design company or come to a licensed company because a lot of designers don't own their name, i.e., let's say Calvin Klein. I worked for G3. G3 is a licensee company that buys certain licenses for certain things. Calvin Klein, handbags, G3 owns the license. Calvin Klein, winter accessory, G3 owns the license. Calvin Klein, clothing wear, PVH Group owns the license. So they hire designers to come in and work for these licensing companies, and then they design on the same aesthetic. But they're not really designing because they're really just recreating the same bags over and over again, or
Right.
saying the same things and just updating them with fabric, maybe a couple of trims and stuff like that now and then. So the buyers, like when I worked there, I worked in product development. The buyers will come to a meeting, pretty much tell us what they want. We want Calvin Klein backpacks in PVC, which is fake leather, with nylon straps. Or what they would do is they would make the straps in leather. We would make it for Macy's. Macy's say, I want a PVC bag, or I want a full leather bag. Calvin Klein bag, I want a tote, I want a smaller bag. They would literally design it for you because they know what's gonna sell. At the end of the day, a buyer only wants to buy what they know that they're going to sell without having to put a promotion or a discount on it. It's all about the money. If I can buy a Calvin Klein bag for $12 and then sell it in Macy's for $200, put the little markdown thing on there and make it seem like I'm getting a deal, I've accomplished my goal. They don't care about the design aesthetic that is not real leather, that is not a silk on the inside, that the gold is not plated. They care about the fact that I got this for $12 and I'm gonna sell it for $200. That's the difference. Whereas a designer would be like, oh no, it's not leather. Like, and they'd be able to tell right off bat that it's not.
No, and I think that's why when you think about going back to Black designers, right? How we as consumers, as Black consumers, try to minimize and try to downplay the price wise of what real designers require. And I see this all the time with small scale like designers. They're trying to advertise whatever they may have, either whether it's clothing or jewelry or accessories. And you'll see in the comments,
Where you
oh,
from?
I'm not paying that. You said where I'm from?
Yeah.
I'm from Detroit.
Okay. I said, because you sound like me. We don't say jewelry, we say jewelry. I'm from Chicago. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, well, Midwest,
Right.
But yeah, I see people, trying to downplay them like, oh, I'm not paying that. That's too much. But then you don't really see the background, the actual researching, the actual, all
That's
that takes
that's
with
probably
it.
my biggest takeaway from a consumer standpoint is that they're not educated. And to be honest, the consumer, you have to educate them, if that makes sense. Like, because the consumer is going to see something and they're going to say like, oh my God, it's not worth it. But as the designer, you have to make sure you go that extra mile to tell them what it is in order for them to understand it. Because if they look at, prime example, I make handbags. You look at one of my handbags, it's just a square, has a zipper, and it's just like a simple pouch bag. That bag is $250. Now, someone looking at that bag is going to be like, I'm not paying $250 for that. But you don't understand that that bag was handmade. That bag is 100% custom embossed suede from Italy. And then it also has a silk lining in it with an emblem that was custom made. So what you're paying for is all of these very, very fine features, silk, suede,
Right.
handmade in the US of A. I don't got no sweatshop. And that's the type of thing. But like that's how I market it though. So when I put it out there, my content and my details is all about it. Like you can't even see the inside of the bag from my pictures, but I open it up so you can see it's silk, it's gold silk, right? Because I'm royalty. So when you
Right.
are creating content and marketing and doing your PR, those things have to shine through so that people understand the price point. Because at first look, it's just like I look like I can get that at Aldo. But when you look closer and you take that second look, you just like, I see why. So I know for a fact that I had my bags online, but when I had a pop-up event, I sold way more bags when people was able to see them in person. So
Right.
sometimes online doesn't always work because they were able to see the quality. Like now I get it now. Looking online, looking at the picture, just like I can get this at Aldo. But seeing it in person and looking at it, it's just like this is a very, very good quality handmade bag. So it's just like a lack of education from the consumer standpoint. But I knew for me, and now and moving forward, online sales are not where I'm at with it. I have to continue to do pop-up shops because people need to see this. They got to feel it and stuff. And that's also, as a designer, how you understand your market. Everybody wants to go online, but it's not good for everybody. Some designers cannot work online, especially as a new designer. They need to see your product. You need to do fashion previews. You need to do trunk shows. Like, this is a hands-on product. So that's also about evaluating where you are. Online sales don't work for me.
Right.
In-person sales work for me.
So how have you adapted due to COVID with the pop-up shows and, things of that sort since we can't really meet
I
in
do them
person like
anyway. I'm
that?
gonna be honest. Like, I've done 3 pop-ups this year. Like, I do it anyway, and I've been doing it the whole time. I did one in Atlanta. I've done 3 here. So they're smaller, but it's like, let's say a pop-up ain't nothing but a trunk show. I can rent out a hotel room in a fancy hotel and do like this whole invite only preview, this exclusive collection. So I don't have to be at a big open shop, but that's how I can market it. Some exclusivity to people to get people to come out. Very small space. You'll be invited to my little showroom. Like, that's how you can sell it. So it don't always have to be online sales. It don't have to be a retail experience. I can create my own experience, put it up on my social media and say, RSVP appointment only to view these bags. And if you don't think somebody's gonna be like, well, what they got going on over there?
Right.
Like, and it's more exclusive. So that's how you do it. You have to come up with creative ways to sell your product. And you have to get out of your head that it has to be a retail store or online. There are multiple ways to sell products.
See, that
So in
goes back
COVID,
to my first question.
you give that exclusivity during COVID. Hey
Right.
girl, I'm having a little pop-up event at my home, or I'm having a little pop-up event at this hotel room, this suite I rented out. And then that's how you market it. That's how you put it out there during COVID. You just got to get creative.
Yeah, that goes back to my first question on just creating new innovation or
Yeah,
innovative ways to market.
yeah.
I think that's just dependent on the person and how wide your horizons is when it comes to thinking of new ways to make your product stand
Stand
out.
out. Yeah. And then like, you can keep trying to push certain things, but if it don't work, it don't work. Like, I realized online don't work. It don't work. Not for me. But LC Apparel Consulting is good. They look at the website, they book the services, stuff like that. But for the bags, no, you got to touch this, you got to put this on, and then can't nobody sell your product like you.
Right.
So like, you like helping them, like, girl, with this outfit, you can wear like this, you can wear like that. I can upload videos all day on it, but unless you sitting right in front of me and I'm showing it to you, it's an easier sell. So it's like, it's doing your research, being open minded, but also learning from other people. I didn't just come up with that idea. I worked for a company and she did the same thing. She introduced me to the light of trunk shows, and I'm just like, well, what's a trunk show? And I took that and I modeled that business model for me for when I sell stuff.
Okay, now let's go into your business ventures. Let's discuss your LC Apparel Consulting, the Black Girls Designer Club, and I'm trying to pronounce it.
Calleea'Vatein.
Bateen.
Vatine.
Batink.
Yeah. So think about, like, my grandmother's name is Ernestine. Everybody call her Auntie
Teen.
Teen. So
Okay.
and my other grandmother's name is Verta. So I took my B from one grandmother. I took my teen for the other one,
Bateen.
but teen.
See, and one thing when I do podcasts, I hate butchering names.
You good, girl. Can't nobody
And that
pronounce
one
that
caught
name.
me up.
My
It caught
mother can barely pronounce it, and she named me Calleea. So don't even trip. Every
But
time
yeah, let's
she say it
discuss
different.
your handbag industry or your handbag business, the consulting business, and also your podcast as well.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a lot to unpack there.
I know you're doing a lot, girl.
Yeah, I'm tired now. Calleea, I mean, which one you want me to start with?
Okay,
Go.
we can start with the apparel consulting.
Okay, so LC Apparel Consulting is almost 3 years old now. It started off as a side hustle because I just wanted to teach. I started with me doing like little garment tours and like teaching sewing and pattern making and stuff like that, and it elevated into a service that I did. And I just would take on different designers because I wasn't feeling creative. So I had a little slump where I didn't want to design nothing. I didn't want to make custom no more. I had to just come off of making prom dresses every year and wedding dresses, and I was just over it. And the clients really just got me to a point where I just didn't want to do it anymore. So just want to take a hiatus with that, but still wanted to, keep my craft intact. I just started helping other creators. So it started with the pattern making classes, and then it got into sewing classes, and then I put together NYC Garment District tour. And then like after that, once I got it in my head, it just kept flourishing from there. So I started getting more and more clients. And then towards the end of last year, honestly, is when it really started to take off a lot more. I initially had all my social medias one. I used to just put everything on my page, which was stupid, but that's just how I did it. But once I broke them up and I made LC Apparel Consulting its own Instagram page, made BlacknFashion Podcast its own Instagram page, and then had my own personal page, it was more direct to the person. So like I was able to market and promote towards people that were more so interested in design, opposed to like my initial following who don't really necessarily care about that. So it started to take off. Honestly, we haven't even been in business 1 year yet. So last year I was working in a company. I ended up getting laid off because Trump had like 15% tariffs coming out of China importer. And I worked for a China importer. And once I got laid off, I made a decision not to look for a job, not to file for unemployment, and to just all the goals that I had wrote down on my vision board and all the goals I wrote down for me is like, it's time to just start doing some of that stuff. When I put my all into it, it took off. I lost my job January 8th, 2020. I made more of that in that 3 weeks than I had made all year when I put my all into it. I build up my services more. I increased my prices. I started offering more stuff. I'm like, what else can I do? I can offer draping. I can offer production, logistics. I just started thinking of all these different courses I can offer, all these different services I can offer. I can create this big package deal where you can come to me with nothing and I can make it out of I can make something out of it. Like you can come to me with an idea and I can bring it to life. So once that battery was in my back, LC Apparel Consulting went from a one-woman show to two to now a team of 10 and an actual space. And all that happened just this year during this COVID. My business grew triple times in like 6 months during a pandemic. It grew beyond my wildest imagination. And now I create products and manufacture stuff for designers. And the bulk of my clientele are Black women all over the US. My biggest clientels are in Texas, Atlanta. We have a really big Philly based clientele. And of course, we have a lot of New York, a little bit of Midwest in there. And our biggest presence is on social media, and we educate on our social media, which I think is why people like us, because they feel very authentic. We are Black owned. It's mostly women. I think we got eight girls and a guy. So I think, because I can't remember if it's 8 or 9 of us. I know I got one guy and he's right there. Yeah.
So essentially someone can come to you with just $1 and a dream, and it's like,
not a dollar. Not a dollar.
Well, that, figuratively,
yeah.
not literally.
I'm playing. I'm like, not a dollar, because that ain't gonna cut it. But
money in a dream. Okay,
like all they gotta do is have an idea. So at first it was just a design consultation, and you would just tell me what it is that you want. So then it got deeper, like whereas like it's 3 different type of appointments you can book. So that way, no matter where you are in the process, let's say you're a designer already and you've been making a whole bunch of stuff on your own, and now you're tired of making stuff, you want to manufacture, you can come to us. If you maybe just learned how to sew and you tried to make some samples, it didn't work out, you can come to us. So I made it so no matter where you are in the process, we can pick up and we can help you at any point. And if you don't have anything, if you don't even have a sketch, we can do it, because you can talk to us, and all the people that work here are creative. You can tell us what you're thinking, and we're usually able to be like, okay, we can sketch it out for you, and that's how we do it. Or we'll write all the notes and we'll come back to it and we'll figure it out. Or you can provide us like with a reference image or something you saw on social media, like I want this sleeve with this collar with this, and then we'll be able to put it together for you.
Okay. And I know, since you said a little bit about kind of mentorship with this, but
so in extension to the services, we offer courses, we offer training, and we offer a mentorship package. So the mentorship package is $450 a month. It covers tech pack development, design development, merchandising management. It covers marketing reviews. So it's basically 1 hour a week with me that I give you assignments every week. It's kind of like school. I give you assignments every week, and you are to complete those assignments. And then we go back and we I ain't gonna say I grade them. We go over them together. I give them more things to think about, give them a different assignment, and then we continue. And that's just pretty much how it goes. And then you pick the one that you want to do. If you want to do design development, if you want to do production manufacturing, if you want to so I do everything one-on-one. Even the courses are one-on-one, so that it's really catered to the person's learning goals. So like people who book, I have people to book mentorship packages and will book like a pattern making or a sewing class. But during those classes, we don't teach general principles. We teach what you want to learn. So if you want to work on swimwear and you want to learn how to do swimwear, outerwear, evening wear, we're going to teach those techniques, because that's what you want to learn. And
Okay,
I
and
think
then
that's kind of what make our business different, because you're not just coming to a sewing class where they got you sewing straight lines all day. Like, you're actually
right.
learning how to construct something that you want to construct. I tell people, bring their sketches to the class, bring your fabrics to the class. Like, let's make what you want to make.
And so is this the same format for the Black Girls Designer Club, like for the children? Is it the same
No,
type?
so that one is free. You just fill out an application online. Their kids, I think the high school ones, they have to have a certain GPA, and it just goes over the session. So you just apply for it. You just apply for it, and you just put your purpose, and you write like a little one-page thing on why you think you would be a good fit for the mentorship program. And it's about 5 of us. We're all Black girl designers. It has like our breakdown on there of like what we specialize in, what we do, because all of us are in different parts of the industry. Of course, I'm an entrepreneur, and some of the other girls is a teacher and she's a sewer. Then we have other girls who have like custom made businesses. So all of us are in a different realm of the fashion industry. So depending on what your interests are, that's how you would choose your mentor.
Okay, and
And we
how do
just
you
and we
apply?
spend one day. It's more than an hour though. It's like, if it's an outing, then you would spend like the whole day with them. If it's a couple hours, so like it's based on the mentor's discretion. Like, if they are able for 3 or 4 hours, they do it for 3 or 4 hours, but they are dedicated to doing 40 hours a month to a mentee.
Okay, and how do children apply
So
for
they
this?
just go to LeneseCalleea.com, go to the Black Girls Designer Club, and there's a form right there that says become either you, and you can become a mentor on that form too. So if you hit the one for become a mentor or become a mentee, then you just go to the form and you just fill it out.
Okay, and this is like only specific states, like only your
No,
state?
it's other, and that's another thing. On the profiles, it tells you where they are. Cause like we have someone in North Carolina, we have someone in Texas, we have someone in Miami. And so on the profile, it tells you where that person is stationed.
Okay, okay. I'll make sure to add, clearly, I'm gonna add everything that you just said on the show notes so people can support.
LeneseCalleea.com, we got it all in there.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
add the
literally, it's
website
all
too.
there. The website has it's the website, but it has 4 different sections. It has a Black Girls Designer Club section, has a BlacknFashion, literally has all the different sections. So all you got to do is click on what you're interested in, and it'll take you directly to what you want to go to.
Okay, and now Calleea'Vatein. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I said it right. Now let's discuss how you get started. How did you get started with this? Was this the
Oh
first
Lord.
your
So
business
Callie
in
is girl, it's old child. It's old. I launched Callie when I was 21. And 21, it started off with me just making like dresses and stuff like that. Then it kind of turned into a custom made business, and I found myself attaching my name to things that I was creating, but not that I was designing. So I kind of took a step back. Then I did like a little lingerie collection. Then I took a step back. Then I did like a business wear collection. I'm just like, oh, I'm all over the place. Who am I as a designer? So I, took a break. I didn't make a collection for about 3 or 4 years. And when I came back into it, I really honed in on who my client was, who my customer was, and she was a lot like me. She's a creative entrepreneur, so she needs seamless things. So now I only make jackets, jumpsuits, and jammers. Jammers are my handbags. I made my own name for them. Jumpsuits, because the creative entrepreneur, she want to look cute, but she ain't got time to get dressed. I'm not picking out no 4-piece outfit and layers and stuff like that. I want something that's gonna fit, be comfortable, and I'm gonna be able to go on with my day. And then jackets, because I'm from the Midwest, like we always want something nice. So I kept them that way. Like I'm only doing those 3 categories, and that's all I make now. And I keep everything aligned. So like you can pair them all together. There is a jacket, jumpsuit, and a bag that you can put all together, and all the color palette is very similar, so that you can mix and match. And I always do 7. I have 7 jammers, I have 7 jumpsuits, and I have 7 jackets, because you are a different woman 7 days of the week. Hashtag CV woman.
Hey, okay. Look, yeah, you got me at jumpsuits because I hate putting on shirt and pant. Ugh,
Yeah,
that's too
I'm a
much
one
work.
shot pony. I'm a monochromatic. You give me a set or a jumpsuit, I'm good to go.
Yes, I work in corporate America and I hate having to figure out what's the
What I'm
top,
gonna
what's
wear.
the bottom. Like I don't have time for that, honestly. Yeah, I feel you on that.
Feel you.
But about Black and Fashion podcast now. Do
Mhm.
you want to discuss? I looked at a couple of your episodes. So you get basically people in the industry, you interview them, and you talk about hacks and like your experiences and things that people that who are looking into getting into the fashion industry should know. So you want to discuss a little bit more about Black and Fashion podcast?
So my goal for BlacknFashion podcast was to basically get out the information to more people. Like it's only so much people can get from me with us being based in New York. So I really wanted to put it out there so that people, no matter where you are, you can listen and you can get this information for free. Because like LC Apparel Consulting, it costs. Our services cost. So that was my way of giving back. BlacknFashion podcast, you can access it on anything. And what I wanted to do was, no matter where you want to go in the fashion field, you have some guidance. So I have my certain expertise, but there are women that are beyond me that are, entrepreneurs or just specialized in their field. They can also spend their time for an hour discussing their challenges, what made them successful, giving advice, tips, and tricks that will help somebody else not waste their money, not waste their time, but also help them excel in their career. And it also inspires and motivates people to be like, everyone doesn't start off successful. We all got our struggles, but we all know how we can overcome them and we can help one another. So it's a unity podcast.
That's good. I listened to some of your episodes and like I was learning stuff as someone with zero fashion recollect at all. I was like, dang, okay, I feel like I could start this.
I've heard that before. Like, because I talk a lot about business as a whole, so it's not just about fashion, but it's definitely about entrepreneurship. I have a whole episode on like customer service, which can be used for any industry, So
Yeah, especially yeah. I'm glad you mentioned customer service because that's always something, that stigma or stereotype with Black owned businesses is that customer service is always really bad. So I'm glad that you are bringing that up as the whole aspect of not just fashion, but the business perspective. Because, yeah, I hate that rhetoric that people like to put on just all Black owned businesses that, is horrible customer service.
gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. I ain't about to play with these people. And I don't want to be labeled as that neither. And I know sometimes we can get very, very passionate about certain things and we can come off really rude and stuff like that. So, I mean, customer service is a constant check, for everyone. Like, you gotta check yourself when you're dealing with clients. They have to check, but it also has to be give and take because client relationships is on both ends, just like with Uber and Lyft. Like you rate them, they rate you, So it's like
Right.
it goes, you have to be a good client and you have to give off good, client energy. So
I did have one last question. How do you feel about fashion school, like actual, I guess, education, like formal education about fashion?
I have mixed emotions. It depends on the school. I think that
Okay.
some schools are shitty, to say the least, and don't teach the students enough of what they need to survive. But then I do feel like there are good programs that really give them the foundation that they need. So I have mixed emotions. There's some schools that I think is great, and some schools that I think is not. But I do think that I don't like that they don't that you can't customize your education. That's what it is. That's what I don't like about it. Like, because I know for me, I learned a lot of stuff in design school that I didn't give a damn about, So, and I know that from a lot of my, my employees and people that I work with, like a lot of my designer friends, they don't know how to pattern make. And it's just like, how? How do you not know how to create a pattern to make a garment? Like they cut directly into fabric. So I'm like, what did you learn in school? They're like, well, they didn't teach us that. They taught us how to draw. That ain't gonna help nobody.
Right.
Like, how is me sketching gonna help me bring a garment to life? So it's like their curriculum sometimes are very, very creative, director driven and not craftsmanship driven, which I think is the core of being a designer. Because if you know how to craft something, you know how to put different things together. Because to me, fashion design is anatomy, chemistry. That's
Can
it.
you name some actual schools that you
That
recommend?
I like. Look, I was like that I like my school, Columbia College Chicago.
Okay, there
I
you
like
go,
my
folks.
school. I think that Parsons was a good school, but I've heard mixed reviews on them. I think the SCAD is a good school in Atlanta because they have a well-rounded program. SCAD, and then of course a lot of the ones is over in Paris, but I've never been to them, but I've heard they're good.
Okay. Well, as we are wrapping up the interview, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time out to discuss overall fashion and business with a shot of facts. But my very last question to you is where can we find you? And also, if you have any last words of recommendation.
Resilience is key. Stay motivated. You got to be self-motivated. You can't expect for anyone to push you. So it's okay to not be motivated in certain times, but just make sure you always stay true to yourself. And if you lose your funk, get it back and take your time getting it back. You can find me at LeneseCalleea.com. Everything and every single business and every single thing I do is on there. My team is on there. Everything is there. And then my social media, of course, I have one for each brand. So mine is Lenese Calleea. The other one is LC_Appareal Consulting. BlacknFashion podcast is just like that, but it's black with the letter N, fashion. And Calleea'Vatein Inc. and the Black Girls Designer Club. So they all are, the names on Instagram is exactly how they are. But yeah, that's how you find us. But you can find me everywhere, 5 different places.
Right, and I'll make sure to add all of your information in the show notes so that myself can stay, up to date with you and also my followers and listeners. So
Perfect.
again, I just want to overall thank you so much for coming on the show and just taking the time out to discuss your business ventures with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you giving me this interview today.
Yeah, and with that being said, I will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you. You have a good evening.
You too.